Okay, so there's a controversial book out there, and you may have had it read to your child. It's called Giving Tree. The book follows a young boy and an apple tree who become friends. The tree is described to be very giving, while the boy is described to be very taking. As the boy ages, he starts to see the tree less and less. He starts to only visit her when he needs something, and the giving tree lets him take a part of herself to get that need, such as her apples for money, her branches for a house, and her trunk for a boat. It gets to the point when the tree is only a stump, and the boy returns the final time as an old man, saying that he is tired and needs some rest. The tree lets the boy sit on her, ending line. The tree was very happy. Now, part of why this book was so controversial is because there's many ways to interpret it. The most obvious one is about a loving parent-child relationship where the parent selflessly takes care of a child out of love. Now, there's an environmental interpretation where the boy represents humanity and the tree represents nature as a whole. There's also a religious interpretation, but I don't know much about it, so I'll leave that one out. But another one, which conflicts with the first, is that the tree and the boy are in an abusive relationship. People who dislike the book believe the boy is selfish and spoiled and only taking and never giving. And you know what? I agree with that. Their relationship is a codependent one. The tree focuses too much on the boy's well-being at the expense of her own. I don't think this is a good model for parenting, whether she is supposed to be the boy's mother or not. I don't find this healthy. And of course many agree, but here's where I disagree. Despite all this, I think the book should still be read to children, and here's why. When I read this book as a kid, it gave me a weird, sad kind of feeling. Something just wasn't right. The main character, the boy, as with most children's books, was supposed to be the one I liked, but at the time I didn't like him. In fact, I thought the ending of the book didn't need to happen. It was unnecessary. I believe a tree could have taken care of the boy without damaging herself. The point is, it made me question what I was being read, and what I considered right and wrong at the time, and that's exactly why I think it should still be read to children. Like kids in a primary school reading session, we are constantly being fed by the media news and information about the world around us. But sometimes what we are given doesn't sit right with us. Sometimes we may disagree, may conflict with our morals. Most children's books are very simple and give the readers a very simple message, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But what if, every now and then, we gave kids a bad book, one that was ambiguous, one that gave a lesson that the child disagreed with, one that confused them? Because the reality is, when those kids grow up, they'll encounter similar pieces of media, so why not train them to question and to think about what is being said and shown to them? Why not teach them to consider what their opinion is, instead of giving them one? There's a Goodreads comment that summarizes my thoughts perfectly. I agree that this book can be a terrible example for relationships if you don't talk with your child about it. When I read this to my son, age 3, I asked a lot of questions like, how do you think the tree felt, and how does the boy feel, and what would they have done differently to be better friends, and what could the boy have done to earn money instead of ruining the tree, and what could you do if a friend tries to take your clothes, toys, shoes, and house? Would you like that? What might you say? Sometimes it's nice to have a book where you can ask children deeper questions and make them figure out what is right and wrong, rather than the fluffy crap that some people put in children's books these days. This is a book that I would use as a teaching tool with my son, more so than just a bedtime feel-good story. There is another book I disliked as a child called Tootle the Train. It's about a train who is very good at his work. In fact, he's considered one of the best. But one day he decides to go off the tracks and frolic in the gardens a little. In the garden, however, Tootle sees red flags everywhere. Not very subtle, but he sees green flags on the tracks, so he goes back on the tracks and learns his lesson. The lesson is never go off the tracks. Basically, the train is being punished for having recreational time for himself, for taking a break of work. I hated that. I thought it was wrong. And in a way, the book was very reflective on the real world. Many companies and jobs don't value their workers' well-being. So, in conclusion, don't ban bad books, don't hide them. Instead, read them to your kids and ask them what they think, how did it make them feel. If they learn to question what they're told and shown, I think those kids will turn out okay. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please consider liking and subscribing. I'll see you next time.